Well, I said I would make this video eventually, so now I'm doing it. I know I said I'd do it at 300 views, but I got impatient. So let's just do this. This is my review of Speckles the Tarbosaur. Speckles the Tarbosaur is an animated film from South Korea, released in 2012, followed by a US release sometime later, where it was renamed to Dino King. Pretty sure that's the name of an anime. Oh wait, that's Dinosaur King. This is Dino King. Big difference. Reminds me of the movie I want to make, Stars War. Anyway, I'll just be calling it Speckles because Dino King is way too generic of a name. In a nutshell, this film is a coming-of-age story about a Tarbosaurus named Speckles, who's named that because he has a bunch of white dots on his face, who has to deal with the struggles of life, from difficulties finding food, natural disasters, and worst of all, a T-Rex named One-Eye who seems hell-bent on ruining his life. In most movies about animals, they have a carnivore as the bad guy, and it's always like, okay, that's just nature, but here, this Rex is dead set on having Speckles be dead. He basically follows him everywhere just to try another murder attempt. It's clearly not about food, because he follows him to places that are completely devoid of most other life, so, yeah, it's weirdly personal with him. Now for my review. Well, less of a review and more like just a bunch of thoughts I had while watching. I'm not good at the typical review structure, so that's just what I do. First off, animation's alright for what it is. This clearly wasn't a major project, and for this kind of film, it looks pretty good. Though I am convinced that these hatchlings are puppets. Seriously, look at these and tell me these aren't puppets. As for the plots, I don't really have notes. It's not really a plot, it's more like Bambi, in that it follows an animal from birth to parenthood without an actual ongoing narrative, so I don't know how to judge a plot like that. One thing to note about this movie is that, much like Spirit, this is not a talking animal movie. Instead, none of the dinosaurs speak, and there's instead narration provided by Speckles, who has two voice actors, one for kid, one for adult. His kid voice is provided by Veronica Taylor, original voice of Ash from the Pokemon anime, and adult Speckles is played by C.D. Barnes, who played Spider-Man in the 90s cartoon. Gonna be honest, the narration was my least favorite part of the movie, because this is the kind of narration that feels the need to spell out everything, even the most obvious stuff that anyone can tell what's going on. Sometimes the narration is literally just, I am now here, I am now doing this. And it just gets annoying after a while. Another thing to note is that there are points where this movie feels like it's trying to be educational, probably the result of how this movie reuses a lot of models from a documentary. But I guess old habits die hard, because not only is pretty much every species Speckles encounters referred to by name, but he'll sometimes just throw out facts about them. He explains the concepts of gizzard stone, symbiosis, how ankylosaurs defend themselves, what makes a mammal, things like that. But the thing that weirds me out about this is that despite knowing these things and being aware of dinosaur names which wouldn't exist for millions of years, unless they call themselves names and we humans just coincidentally named them the same thing, which is a weird thing to think about. Tyrannosaurus means tyrant lizard. Do the dinosaurs have a concept of what a tyrant is? Anyway, despite knowing all this, he doesn't know what quicksand is and thinks it's the result of a large dinosaur hiding in the sand. And this is weird, because he knows all of this, but apparently they decided that knowing what quicksand is would be too anachronistic. Okay, sure. One thing I like is that this movie isn't afraid to kill people. Feels like a lot of modern kids' movies are afraid of having anyone besides bad guys die, so I like how this movie has a anyone can die approach. Speckles loses his mom, his siblings, his mate, and most shocking to me, all but one of his children. Yeah, this movie had the guts to kill off babies. That's awesome. Don't take that out of context. I just like when movies don't hold back and have actual, stakes instead of just being, oh no, I'm a grumpy guy and I want to steal something from the main characters. But don't worry, no one dies. We all live happily ever after, and the moral is be yourself. I literally checked all of Disney's recent movies and I realized something. They haven't actually killed a character on screen since Moana. And I mean mainline plotline deaths, and Kanto doesn't count. That happened in the backstory, so yeah, Disney has not killed off a character in the narrative in nearly 10 years. Wow. Also on the subject of deaths, the way Speckles' his family is killed by One-Eye setting off a stampede, which reminded me a lot of The Lion King. In fact, the music in that scene seemed genuinely like a legally distinct sound-alike of the stampede music from Lion King. I don't know what else to say there, I just wanted to point that out. One thing I find weird is that one-eye the Tyrannosaurus is said to be from out of the area, which makes sense since, T-Rex is from North America and this film takes place in Korea. But there's other North American species in this film that are never treated as bizarre. Like, they have Ankylosaurs, Torosaurs, and Pachycephalosaurs, and yet Speckles never claims these guys are not from around here. So why is the T-Rex different? Like, why couldn't they just have those guys be their equivalent species? Like, why couldn't the Ankylosaurs be Panachosaurus, Pachycephalosaurs be Goyacephals? Also, at one point, we see a Hypsilophodon, which lived in Europe. So, again, why is the T-Rex the odd guy out, apparently, when it seems like all dinosaurs in the Northern Hemisphere live in this area? This movie predicted Jurassic World. Okay, not really, but come on. The main theropod gets eaten by a mosasaur. Well, okay, they're tylosaurs, but that's still a mosasaur species. Also, they're said to be 100 feet long, and they massively dwarf the two tyrannosaurs. I'll let you guys make your own opinion about that. Oh yeah, by the way, this movie features a non-existent species, and I don't mean like they feature a species that's since become dubious. No. I mean, they include a creature that's referred to by a name that was never meant to refer to an animal. And that's Hynemicnus, which, if you don't know, is the name given to footprints of an Asdargid pterosaur. It's what's known as an ichnotaxon, which are basically the animal version of artifacts, things like footprints, poop, bite marks, things like that. It is not meant to be the name of an animal. Sorry, paleo nerd brain kicked in there. Back to the movie review. Oh yeah, this movie continues the weird trend of Therizinosaurus being portrayed as an aggressive animal who kill anything they see while every other herbivore immediately flees without even trying to fight back. Which is a trend that exists because I don't know. Seriously, it seems like they're the only herbivorous dinosaurs that people are willing to portray as scary. It's like every other herbivorous dinosaur is just an innocent little grass eater who wouldn't hurt a fly and runs at the first sight of danger, well, Therizinosaurus will pave the roads with your blood. I think this started because Therizinosaurs aren't built for running, so scientists think they would have had to fight if encountered by enemies. But still, why is it only ever applied to Therizinosaur? I want to see Stegosaurus portrayed scarily. If you can make a charging rhino scary, why can't you make Stegosaurus scary? What was I talking about? Oh, right, the movie. This movie has a weird portrayal of velociraptors. First off, yes, they have feather mohawks. Need I say more? Well, yes, I can, because they gave the mohawks bright colors like a biker gang. So that's a thing. Secondly, they're portrayed in a weirdly negative light in this film. Like, Speckles calls them outlaws. Yes, really. Outlaws. Are they on the run from the dino cops who will send them to dino jail if they get caught? Anyway, throughout the movie, they're portrayed like bully figures to anything around them, and I don't get why. Why is the main character hunting okay, but the velociraptors can't do it without being called outlaws? So anyway, yeah, Speckles the Tarbosaur. Not a bad movie, but I found it just okay. I don't do film scores, I'm just gonna say it's okay and move on. Definitely better dino movies out there, but I can also say there's a lot worse paleo media out there as well. Thank you for watching.